Morning, guys.
You just want to start with a quick review of the opening weekend and then, looking forward right away to Pac-12.
Yeah, here we go. It's really an interesting year, obviously, guys, not knowing, if you're going to play, you're hoping you're going to play. And, I just can't tell, people that aren't around these players on a day-to-day basis, the importance of these guys playing games just mentally for their mental state. We stepped on the floor against South Dakota and just seeing the body language and the joy and the smiles and the everything they've worked so hard on since last season was kind of canceled and the rug pulled out from under these kids. To have them get the opportunity to be out there again was special. And, we were fortunate enough to get 2 wins, but you see a lot of teams right now that are not they're not normally where they would be at this point of the season because the schedule, the way it's been, and then also practices, not having a normal fall schedule and then maybe not having a full contingent. We played a K-State team that hadn't played 5-on-5 in practice a lot, maybe 3 or 4 days. They were going 4-on-4 a lot. So they weren't at midseason form, and it's going to take them a while to get there, just like every team in the Pac-12 is at different stages when it comes to that, and it's just going to be an interesting year as it unfolds.
Okay, reminder to use the chat to queue up your questions, and we'll start with Pat Rooney.
You're on mute. There you go, Pat.
I got it this time. Coach, what can you tell us as far as a health update with the team? Is everyone, besides the 3 guys, everyone good to go at this point? Are you confident those 3 guys will be the extent of the damage here this week?
That's the hope, Pat. You got the testing. We tested yesterday. We tested today. Took 2 tests today. We're going to test tomorrow before we get on the plane to go to Tucson. So yeah, so far so good. And again, you live day by day, sometimes hour by hour when it comes to that stuff. But yeah, so far so good with where no changes.
If I could follow up on that subject real quick, how is Desean? He tweeted over the weekend, mild symptoms. Is he feeling okay? Is he doing okay?
He's feeling fine. Desean's doing great. Yeah.
Justin Greer.
Coach, in these first 2 games, game 1, we really saw Juuri kind of work the point on play.
His internet went out.
Seeing him actually play now, like as to the reasons you brought him in and what he's going to be able to do for you guys and off.
Justin, can you repeat that? You kind of skipped in and out.
Yeah, you were breaking up there, Justin. I think I got the gist of Juuri Horn, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, look, Juuri.
So in game 2, just being more of a short range.
Yeah, he's Juuri brings a lot to our team, in terms of experience. And every player has their strengths, and every player has their weaknesses. And Juuri is no different, And I'm learning more about his game, just like he's learning more about our system in a very short period of time. But he obviously can stretch the defense. He can shoot it. He's got a big, strong body. He doesn't have great necessary height. He's only about 6'7", but he knows how to play, knows how to use his body. He's not afraid of being physical and boxing out, but he's not going to jump over anybody to get rebounds. He's got to be really a smart player, which he is. And I think he just brings a different dimension to our front court relative to Evan and Dallas and even Jabari. Jabari's again another guy that's played very, very well for us. But what Juuri brings and what Jabari brings are 2 totally different things, but they're both very beneficial to our team. And I think the biggest thing with Juuri and with Jabari, for that matter, is again just defend and rebound. Those are the 2 non-negotiable staples that you bring. And then you hit a couple threes, you stretch the defense. Great, that's icing on the cake. But if you defend and rebound, you can help this team in a lot of different ways because he can stretch the defense and space the floor.
Next up, Neil Welk.
Hey, Tad, how difficult is it to switch into Pac-12 mode this early in the season?
Well, it's difficult. There's no doubt. I mean, we were doing the Arizona scouting report here this morning, and I'm just like, holy, it's December 2nd. We haven't even had to think about Arizona till usually, sometimes we open the season with them in late December, but certainly early January, February is the earliest we have to worry about, the Wildcats. And to be preparing for them December 2nd seems a little different. There's no doubt about that. But we've just played a K-State team that's from a Power 5 conference that's really well coached, like Arizona is. They're going to be prepared like Arizona will be. They're going to be tough. They were tough, like Arizona's going to be tough. So I think the K-State game was great, a great setup for us in terms of knowing for our players, especially our new players, to know what to expect. Our veterans know, how good Arizona is, how solid they are, how they don't beat themselves. I say this every year, and probably tired of hearing me saying it, but the one thing about Arizona is they don't beat themselves. You have to beat them. They're solid. They're disciplined defensively, probably the most disciplined team in our league year in and year out. You have to make plays, and you have to beat Arizona because they're not going to beat themselves.
Back to Pat Rooney.
Yeah, kind of along those same lines, Coach. What's the challenge getting ready for Arizona? Obviously, just one game and a lot of new personnel over there.
Yeah, a lot of new personnel, and they played Grambling, and we watched that film, but that's really all we have other than watching. We're familiar with a lot of their American kids, Akinjo and Dalen Terry and the Brown kid. We saw them, as they were coming up through the AAU ranks, and even recruited a couple of those guys. So we have a feel for them, but their foreign kids are the ones that are a little bit more of an X factor, and they're talented guys that were heavily recruited. So they're good players. It's just a matter of how quickly are they acclimating. I'm sure that's been one of Sean's challenges, with so many new guys is getting them to learn the system and understand the Arizona way. So, they got good players, and they're gonna be. They probably won't be the Arizona team we're used to playing later in the year once they're a little bit more battle tested and experienced. And look, we got a lot of new players too that they've got to prepare for that, and they're not quite, operating in mid-season form either. So that's why these early games are so challenging. Little heartburn and digestive issues for the coaches, but the players just want to play.
Let's jump back to Neil, and then Pat, you'll get the last.
Hey, Tad, McKinley Wright has said a couple times that you have to approach every game like it might be your last this year, given the circumstances. Is that something you kind of tend to agree with? Absolutely, it is, Neil. And I think, for what we went through in Manhattan, with Desean and then the contact tracing, I mean, it's really hit home to our players, I think, how serious this deal is and how random it can be. And I say this all the time, there's nobody probably on our team that's been as conservative and as diligent in terms of dealing with this virus and the pandemic as Desean Schwartz. And ironically, he's the one that, tests positive and again gets it. So, it's nothing that he did wrong. It's no carelessness on his standpoint. It's just, that's just the deal. And I think maybe our players understand that now because it's hit home. It didn't hit them, but it hit their teammates, which, obviously they all care for and love. So, yeah, it's definitely, I think when you hear McKinley say that he's talking like a senior, and he's talking like a guy who's been around, and I think our players do understand that now.
Coach, just curious, kind of your team's thoughts and reactions, just the scene at Kansas State, playing without fans in the stands. I know you had a handful of friends and family up there. The ambient noise kind of pumped in the background. I know you talk about it and you're prepping for it and all that kind of stuff, but in reality, what was it kind of like out there for the team?
Yeah, Pat, that's a really good, probably a better question for the players than it is for me, and especially the veteran players, because again, even our freshmen, they don't know what it's like playing in a college arena packed with fans yet. They'll get that hopefully someday. I don't know if it'll be this year or not, but our veterans, the guys like McKinley and Evan and Dallas and Desean, and the guys that have been there before and done that, they don't. And quite frankly, we haven't talked about it a lot, Pat. I think one of the scrimmages where we brought Pac-12 officials in to officiate, we did have our marketing department kind of play with the ambient noise and the stuff in the backgrounds. But for me, it's no different in terms of what we're doing coaching. It's just you should be able, you can communicate a little bit better with your team, and that's a good thing. But it's not the same, I can tell you that, but it's just, it is what it is, and we're dealing with it. And, we've been dealing with these scrimmages through the last few years where you can't have fans in. And so, our players are used to that, and it's probably more like that than it is a normal game night for sure, even with the ambient noise.